one of your instances that you've done a large deal. Like, what was the dollar amount to that deal? If you could share that with us, and like, what was the experience through that process?
I would say it wasn't a single. I think one of my best solo years, about 2022, I got like $1.8 million solo for like 10 different projects, and it ranged between the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program. Appreciate that. It was the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program under Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We got our first allocation there. I had one allocation for a suicide prevention program, another one for a scholarship for low-income college students, another one for elderly for youth students to essentially teach old people to stop being scammed online so they can understand. Because during the pandemic, everybody was scamming the old folks, right? So they ended up being a different mix there. Also, some money for people that were coming out of prison so that they could transition back into life well, so at least the workforce development part was there. So to me, it was more getting out of the narrative of DeSantis and the nonsense.
No, you right, son, my bad. Give him 90 yards. I told you I had it. What told his mama told me he needed a scholarship. He needed a change in his life. And I'm going to give it to him in Eugene, baby. I'm going to give it to him in Eugene right now. We're going to 90 yards. We're going to the 90 yards. It ain't over till I say it's over.
Welcome back to the channel, y'all. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Listen, when we signed off last night, I think around 1 a.m., about 13 hours ago, we were only debating the House concurrent resolution. The provision in Section 213 that said that if any senator's cell phone records were tapped by a grand jury without a notification, whatever it may be, the benchmark would be $500,000 and up from there. So we went to bed in the aspect of saying, all right, cool, damn, all right. And I had my meeting today, putting the hoodie back on. This is one of the streaming hoodies. But went to bed thinking, like, okay, damn, the House is gonna vote on this. It's gonna pass through. There's so many provisions in the bill that's gonna not only give money for SNAP, the changes, removing the tax provisions for Obamacare, a little bit of everything that Democrats have been fighting for, but also having some changes about renewable energy, also some changes about solar, and also different loans and programs that Republicans prioritize and investing in, right? Helping urban and rural communities, especially rural farmers. So it comes to question, what would happen this morning? What would happen today? I'm actually in my meetings this morning from 9 o'clock. Dropped my kid off to school, kept going, had to get my meetings. And I didn't realize the Democrats released some of the Epstein emails. And I saw some of them. We'll get to them on the chat. But listen, the Democrats finally said, and I kind of respect it, this is my kind of politics, right? That, okay, you're going to take Obamacare from us. Cool, just take it. But we're going to take the president. And we're going to see how many people in Congress are going to sit here and stick by their man, knowing there's actually email trail between Jeffrey Epstein, the lady Maxwell, Griselda Maxwell, and Trump. And it's kind of crazy to really think that we're getting to a point in America where people just don't give a fuck. It's fisticuffs. It's like, you know what? Again, if you're going to take our health care, we're going to take your president. And we're going to really have you questioned by the American people where the fuck your real loyalty is. But I'm going to start with my girl, Sexy Red, who's talking about this on Forbes. Now, you don't believe me. Why would they bring Sexy Red on TV to talk politics? Y'all know when I'm talking about Sexy Red, I'm talking about my girl Jasmine Crockett, the queen of Clockett. You know what I'm saying? So let's make it happen. See what my girl's talking about. And as you see, she still has the bun with the Rapunzel letdown. Listen, JC, Congresswoman JC, whenever you decide to come on the Hip Hop Lobbyist, show, we'll make sure we set the platform. We're going to keep the trolls out. But let's see what you have to say about these Epstein files today. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. I appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream today. If it's your first time here, I'm in the hip hop lobbies, professional lobbies in the state of Florida. I don't talk about a lot of Florida politics. You know why? Because our governor is real sensitive, and I really focused on appropriations over policy in some aspect. But you have to understand policy to get appropriations. So don't take it as a game. But regardless, sorry, this is from CNN. Regardless of it, I don't talk a lot of Florida politics because I need to keep my clients in good positions. But let's go ahead. Sexy Red, my girl Jasmine Crockett from Texas.
Thanks so much for joining us. What stands out to you from these emails that were publicly released by the committee today?
Yeah, so number one, it is clear that he knew what was going on, which I think that he's kind of alluded to that at some point in time, because the president said that he was trying to kick Ghislaine out of Mar-a-Lago because it seems like that's where girls were being recruited from based on information that we have. But more importantly is that he was having conversation, he being Jeffrey Epstein, with Michael Wolff, who is writing this book or trying to put together this book. And in real time, as Trump is running for his first presidential run, we hear or we see that he made it clear that he believes that he has leverage over Trump. And he said that a Trump regime would basically open up, this is me paraphrasing, this is not exactly what he said, but basically it'd be a free-for-all. And as we've seen, especially in this second term, it's been a free-for-all where Trump has absolutely pardoned some folk that we know are terrible, and we are waiting on him to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that that's coming up soon too.
Yeah, an important point indeed. Congresswoman, let's take a closer look at that email from Epstein where he writes to the author Michael Wolff saying this, and it's a direct quote, redacted victim, the name was redacted, Mar-a-Lago. Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Obviously, we don't have the full context here, but I'm curious, how do you read this specific email and what it means?
Yeah, I think that it is showing that he was well aware and he was trying to cover his tracks at that point in time. And I think that that's what you saw from Jeffrey. Obviously, it'd be better if we could talk to Jeffrey today, but it was very interesting that ultimately Jeffrey Epstein died sitting in prison during Trump's administration.
We had on Representative Marlon Stutzman earlier. He's a Republican, and he tried to make the case that President Trump is the most investigated person in the world, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing here. What do you make of that?
Listen, they will do and say anything to cover themselves.
Yeah, they've been after this man forever,
I will
but
admit
hey,
that Donald Trump has been
I'm gonna crack.
investigated more than the normal, but he just happens to be more corrupt and more criminal than any other president than we've had. I will point out he is the only president who has been convicted of 34 felony convictions that we've ever had in the Oval Office. So while we don't know exactly what crimes he may or may not have committed, just think of it this way. If you know that you didn't do anything, then why is it that you would be twisting members of your own party's arms, trying to get them not to release it? This would be exonerating. If you know that you are free and clear, then why not say, you know what, release the files? In fact, he campaigned on releasing the files because he didn't realize that anything that he was involved in whatsoever was involved in the files. But let me tell you something. Another thing that was said in that other email that he had with Michael Wolff was he was talking about if he wants to basically play hardball, we will make mention of the fact that he really has been on the plane. And I don't remember if it mentioned the island.
yeah, I've been on the island. That's what I've read already.
Can fully understand what it says. I just hope the control room can put this email up. It says, I think you should let him hang himself. And this is in response to a question of whether CNN would plan to ask Trump in a town hall about the relationship with Epstein. Epstein said, how do we craft an answer for him? And Michael Wolff says in this email, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime.
Yes.
That's the full email.
Yes, yes, yes. That is clear that Jeffrey Epstein had something to hang over his head. Why else or how else could you have a debt that you are able to? Now, exactly what it was, who knows, right? And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. But the fact that Trump does not want these files to be out, to me, says that he has more to hide.
I get that, but I would be careful because Trump has sued a lot of media companies portraying him in certain ways, and he has won a lot of these cases. And I think they're paying for the grand ballroom of the White House right now. I believe. I don't know where the money may come from, but come on now.
Than
be careful.
him actually being able to exonerate himself.
And then the other email talking about that we used initially, I'm just trying to find that email so I can be really precise here, but it talks about how Epstein is emailing Maxwell saying that Trump was with a victim at his house for several hours. This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans were saying that that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She was a very outspoken victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that, and can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth. Whether or not she told everything, who knows? Again, another person that we can't talk to because we have yet another suicide around this. So I think that that's actually one of the things that we should talk about, is that the president has tried to call this all a hoax. I don't think you have this many people dying around a hoax. I don't think you have somebody trying to hide files around a hoax. We know that there's something there. We know that his own attorney general had to admit that he is in the files, but they are trying to hide stuff. The only reason that we have these emails is because we were able to get them from the estate. Not because the Department of Justice was releasing information, not because Kash Patel was releasing information, even though they've had subpoenas from the Oversight Committee for some time. Kash Patel continues to hold back information. So I thank God that there is somebody that still respects the law and still respects subpoenas in this country, but it's not the people that are empowered to do it, the people that actually conducted the investigation. Imagine what we may discover if we got the investigatory information versus getting something from an estate.
Well, but we should also note that the head of the Oversight Committee is a Republican. It's Republican. The chairman is James Comer, and he is the one who is issuing these subpoenas.
Well, let's be clear about this.
Okay.
This is not something that he wanted to do. This was a subcommittee, remember? It has been the Speaker of the House who has consistently tried to avoid this by shutting down the House. So what the Speaker did is he sent us out on an early recess, but before we left, it was a subcommittee of the Oversight Committee that actually did the motion for the subpoenas, and the Democrats kept pushing, and some Republicans actually joined with the Democrats. This was not led by James Comer.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know if she's on that subcommittee, but Nancy Mace is on that subcommittee for sure. She's actually the chair of that subcommittee. This subcommittee, the ranking member is Summer Lee. So it was that subcommittee. So this was actually the tail wagging the dog. I just want to be clear about that. And ultimately, the chairman had a vote that was bipartisan, that was the majority, and he had to do it. But whether or not they have been like slow rolling this, there is no question about the fact that they have.
And you have had Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. It's been some Republicans who want the full floor vote on this.
Yeah, we've got 4. 4 out of the 219 Republicans, in the House. The rest of them seem to be okay with being complicit with protecting pedophiles.
You know, it's interesting. The CNN poll from last July showed that 50% of Americans were feeling dissatisfied about the amount of information released on the Epstein case. Did that have any influence at all on your decision to make these emails public today?
No, I mean, ultimately what's happened is, obviously, again, we've not been getting anything from the DOJ. Instead, it's been the estate of Epstein. And so as they've been turning things over, it takes staff time to review those documents and things like that to make sure that we've got something, number one, of value to the public. There's still additional information. I want to be clear. We got way more than 3 emails, but in their cursory review,
Need a haircut bad, y'all, so I'm hiding my hairline too.
Here are 3 emails that we think are of value.
Can't wig it up and pull it back like the
There will
ladies.
be more that they will find that will be of value. They will go through the redaction process. They will also consult with the Republicans before we release anything. So it takes a little bit of a process, but I will say again that the estate seemingly has been more participatory than our own Department of Justice, who we actually oversee.
So where do you think all of this is heading?
Noah.
Good question. I don't know, but hopefully it will start with the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, as they have been avoiding that. Again, the House was shut down over that. I'm sure that the president has been making calls trying to get one of the 4 Republicans that did sign on to the discharge petition. I'm sure he is begging and threatening to get them to pull their names off of there. We know that they don't want to vote. We know that they called us in just for one day to work after we've been out since September. Again, we could be doing additional work. Even if this continuing resolution passes, we should be passing our appropriations bills. That's all the continuing resolution is for, it is in the meantime. But instead, it seems like they want to continue to be evasive so that they can slow walk this subpoena actually coming down.
And I get that. I honestly feel that the Epstein file is going to rock the boat a little bit, but the Republicans aren't going to break ship. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're going to break ship now. It's going to boil the frustration of the people. They're going to get their policy passed through. And all of a sudden, getting issues that draw and pull the skin back on bullshit. It's like, damn, okay, I can't support Trump if he's been a part of the Epstein clique. Let's be for real. And it'll be tough to see people who say, fuck it, no, this is all fake. I'm a Republican. I'm going to keep it moving. But what I'm going to do is go next. We got